Hey everyone! I'm just kind of waiting for some people if they want to jump on. Okay, so just going to, I do have some notes here. Hey! Okay, so I'm super excited. I don't really know. This isn't like a homeopathic class or a homeopathic practitioner course, or this is just if you love homeopathy and you want to hang out with me and spend some time a couple times a month talking about homeopathy. That's what this is designed for. So it's hard to come up with a time that works for everyone, so definitely this will be recorded, and if you do want to hop on live when I am doing it, I'll always post the Zoom link before, and you can hop on. We can go over questions, philosophy, cases, just anything. So that will be fun. I'm sure that more and more people will be doing that as they have stuff come up. So anyway, what I was going to talk about today was before we can really start like talking about homeopathy as a modality and as a science within itself, we're really talking about medicine. And so what I wanted to do was break down some definitions of medicine because it's important to understand the deep philosophies of these medicines, and to understand where homeopathy fits in. And so, my mentor used to say that, let me think about how to say this again. Medicine is an art, and science is in service to that art. So cool. So medicine in the vitalistic and the naturopathic world is an art. You would see maybe in the allopathic world that medicine is a science, and they're very hooked on this word science right now, and it's science this and science that, and science proves it, and unless it's proven by science we can't use it, and only if it's proven by science, everything else is not real. Or you have more of an art, right? The art of medicine. It's not something that ever can be put in a box or put in a protocol. How to heal is spontaneous, and it changes generation by generation as new things are introduced into the world as we adapt. And so really it's an ongoing art that we do, and science is in service to that art. So we are always trying to prove what we know nature does, and we're always trying to say why. Why does this work? Why does this heal? What's in here that works? And so when you frame it like that, we're actually a quite scientific community, even though we're often called the quacks and anti-science. So anyway, I'm on a little bit of a rant, but I guess that's why you guys are ultimately here. So what I want to talk about is the different ways of thinking about medicine. And in order to do that, we have to just go over some basic terms. So one perspective is that is allopathic medicine. And by definition, it's allo, different, pathic, disease. So opposing disease, opposing ways to cure the disease. Holds that an illness is caused by something or some entity or bacteria or fungi or mold or some germ, some entity, and that some external reason why. And then you have more of a vitalistic approach to medicine, where that illness is an expression of what the internal state of health is, and that the body will express symptoms basically that will give you signs of what's wrong. And those symptoms are the body's attempt to correct itself and heal. And you want to use those symptoms to guide you through the treatment. And in that way, it's the symptoms are assisting. They're our friend. And it's if you think about the different ways of thinking, where one is like opposing, right? One is in a sense of responsibility. One is a complete victimhood. This happened to me. I caught this disease. I'm sick because of them. Or one is complete radical responsibility, where I am sick because of this. Maybe I'm not eating great. Maybe I'm not using my body. Maybe my stress is too much. And these symptoms are appearing, and they're giving me signals of where the imbalance is and how to correct that. And those symptoms are in itself trying to heal the biological change that's going on. The symptoms appear because the body's trying to adapt to the nutrient deficiency or the toxicity that was taken in. And so in one lens, the allopathic model is the symptoms are bad, they're invaders, and we got to kill the symptoms. And one is we have to learn from the symptoms and use them to heal the body, to heal itself. So that's always kind of fun to just think about. I don't think I want to mention this, but it gets really borderline for me. Like I try to always stay positive with medicine, but I do like to rant and rave on this allopathic thinking sometimes. So if you get offended by that, then just don't come. I can be direct, and I just have an opinion about it. So, but I'm gonna post at some time. I'm gonna post a link that if you guys are interested, there's a really great documentary that my colleague made, basically on the history of healthcare and how healthcare became sick care and the true history of medicine. That's really, really, I think you guys probably have heard bits and pieces of it, but he puts it together really well. So I'm gonna post that for you. So just check out for that later. That might be interesting. But I think that I do wanna try and just focus on just homeopathy, and but I will probably go on rants here and there. So, again, the perspectives that you come from dictate how you cure disease, what kind of treatments you use. So it's important to know what philosophy that you're using, because if you, let's say you let's say that you are really holistic and you believe the body can heal, and you like have heard that the fevers are good, and your child gets a fever, and you go to your holistic pediatrician, that's an MD, and they want to give just a fever suppressant. So you went on your way, you found a holistic MD, and like they, when push comes to shove, you brought your child in, because their default philosophy is to get rid of the symptom. And so it's important when you're choosing your healthcare practitioner that you believe in the same philosophy. Not that they're only giving medicine that's more natural. I mean, that's cute if that's like the superficial way you want to like interact, but really you want someone that thinks like you. Like when shit hits the fan and I need to call someone, who can I call that will, as best they can, stay in the way I want to treat illness. And so I try to like always like make sure that if you're looking for allopathic medicine, we're probably not your people. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If you want easy, if you want a quick fix, if you want drugs, like you just use your insurance and go to an MD, because it's just I personally just so deeply believe in the body's ability to heal itself. And when you need, especially homeopathic medicine, when you have severe symptoms, I know that there's a remedy that can cure 99% of what's going on. There's definitely people that are not curable. There's definitely things, especially if it's like a life death situation and we need allopathic medicine to keep you alive. The goal with the allopathic medicine is the least amount and for the shortest amount of time, and then we use the naturopathic homeopathic route to just continue on the healing path. But that would be where the intervention needs to be applied. That, and of course, like extreme emergency situations, and also just really sick people that their vitality is so low that they need the allopathic intervention. So it's definitely needed, but if you follow a healthy lifestyle and when stuff happens, you can call people. Like if you can call us, and you're gonna know that we have this like solid belief, and we're confident in that way. So if we need to get a remedy on board quick, we can. So it is important to know what philosophy that your practitioner is coming from. And to be honest, guys, like 99% of the people out there are coming from an allopathic view, even if they're a holistic RN, even if they're a holistic MD, even if they are naturopathic doctors. Sometimes most people, even the holistic practitioners, don't know what to do, and they don't really know why they're doing it, and when push comes to shove, they'll always go to an allopathic perspective. And so I mean, to be frank, like a vitalistic naturopath is a rare species on the planet, and you might have heard Adam say that before, but it's the truth. I mean, I can think of just not many. I mean, it's slightly embarrassing because, and then we'll get into this a little bit deeper, but to be a vitalist and then also be a really good homeopath, that's super rare. So there's not many of people that do that on the planet. And so, but there are vitalists and there are homeopaths, so you can like piece it together as well. But anyway, you have to be on the same page as your practitioner, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the allopathic approach a little bit more. And it's believed that the external environment and the things it contains cause the symptoms of illness, that without it, symptoms we must conquer by killing it, right? So we view people, you get symptoms because of an external environment, and in order to get rid of it, we have to kill it or remove it or do something. So therefore the therapies that it creates are antibiotics, surgeries, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, physical therapies, some dietetics. It doesn't necessarily argue for a healthier state of being or a healthier world. In this model, you end up in a disease chase. And if you know any clients or people you work with or family members or maybe really close family members that are in a disease chase, it's you end up chasing, you're chasing your tail, because the pharmaceuticals and the surgeries might give side effects that then there's another drug and so on. Or so you end up in chasing a disease. Versus more of a vitalistic approach, you could say that we're chasing health. If we are chasing anything, really we're just trying to be in a total state where health can exist, because innately we are healthy beings. And so really we just need to establish natural surroundings, eat natural things, drink natural things, and be in nature, and the state of health would be there. And if you're not able to do that, then we have other ways to help assist that in other modalities like homeopathy, like hydrotherapy. So from an allopathic view, you have a disease on one hand and you have a therapy on the other, and you basically have to match up, if you're diagnosed with IBD, then you get this medication or this medication, and it's like they have to match it up, right? So it's like you can have 100 people in the room and they get the same diagnosis, and they'll at least start on one or two of the same drugs for that treatment, and there is no individuality. I mean, they might have common other symptoms, but the diagnosis is just a vague group of symptoms put together, labeled on you, and here's your drug for that, and there's no individuality in that one. So what happens is you end up on the drug, and it might work or it might not work. You might get side effects or you might not get side effects. And I think the most dangerous one is when you think it's working and there's no side effects, because those are the people that we see on drugs like 30 years later. And there's always consequences, guys, to turning off and on biochemistry in the body. That's what the drugs do, is they turn on and off different biochemistry pathways to alter the imbalance to cure the symptom. And when you do that, you can't just selectively turn it off in one place in the body but not in the other. So you're therefore turning it off in other places in the body, which will lead to, in some way, communication breakdown and other symptoms that you might not relate to that drug that you've been on for a long time. So it can be dangerous to not have side effects. I always tell people, if they if they've tried all the medicine and they didn't work because they either had to get off them because they didn't feel good or something, I think that's a blessing, right? Like, it's not working. That means you're not like going to rely on them to cure your symptoms. So it's a real blessing in my eyes. But I think we all kind of like know that. If you're in this group as of now, you kind of like know a lot of this. But let's just talk about the vitalistic approach. So as I mentioned, like the symptoms of the illness are the body's attempt to heal itself, to create a healthy organism, and that is using hydrotherapy, botanical medicine, dietetics, homeopathy, physical medicine, lifestyle medicine. All that. And this is where like we don't really, in one way, if you come in with a diagnosis, because I was trained to like understand what that diagnosis means and the symptoms that come around with that, I get that. But in another way, you're also just naming states of like nutrition deficiencies, sleep deprivation, toxicity of the blood, poor composition of the blood, sluggish lymph, poor GI function, environmental toxicities. Like, we are like naming the cause of the imbalance, which is the reason why you have this symptom, versus just putting a label on that imbalance. So in a way, like, you're like, well, what's my diagnosis? And I'm like, well, your diagnosis is that you are completely toxic. You have a really unhealthy diet. You don't move your body, and you're completely under stress. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Actually, a lot of my clients are super healthy. They already come to me like really healthy, really knowledgeable. They actually like scare a lot of practitioners because they know more. Really, they come to me when like something's going on, they can't figure it out, and I usually just do a lot of homeopathy and hydrotherapy. That's a lot of my clientele these days, and I love it because I like working with people that are super empowered and already doing it. Like, I really don't like the 1, 2, 3s, ABCs. I'll do them, but I really much prefer the people that are like just already trying their best, doing their good, and something happens and they just need to bring on a professional to kind of guide them. That's where I like to kind of step in. So vitalistic medicine has been around for a really, really long time, and there's this really, really rich, interesting history where where we can chase back vitalistic medicine. I mean, it goes back even more than like the naturopaths will trace it back. Like, it really goes back to like in Ayurveda. There's mention of naturopathy in there, and different techniques, homeopathy, herbal medicine, all of that lumps into naturopathy. But you can chase our specific roots of our profession back to the vitalists into like the 16 and 1700s, which is super neat. And maybe we'll go over that one day. But But the Flexner report came out in 1920, and that really like basically really caused the Great Divide. Before, it was more like everyone had a choice. There were homeopathic hospitals and all types of different hospitals and allopathic hospitals, and like they all kind of did their thing. But when the Flexner report came out in 1910, and it was sponsored by the Rockefeller Foundation, and under it was basically the marketing plan to get allopathic medicine more favored. It was like their way of marketing. They like created this Flexner report, and what it did was it set a standard of care for what is like the best way to approach something and disease. And it just named allopathic medicine as the best standard of care for everything. And so because of that, everything that was not allopathic was basically said, yeah, all of the hospitals were converted to allopathic hospitals. All the homeopathic hospitals were converted to regular hospitals. And that's when we hit like an all-time low with naturopathic medicine and homeopathy. I mean, there's like the Philadelphia School of Medicine still has the statue of Hahnemann. No, is it Hahnemann? I think it's called the School of Hahnemann. But it's like it's an allopathic medical school, but it was a homeopathic school, and the name was never changed. So I always like that one. And then, interesting enough, did you know Hahnemann, who's like the founder of homeopathy, is the only physician in Washington D.C. to have a statue? I mean, so like the subliminal messages are everywhere. Like if you are like, I mean, the only physician ever to have a statue in Washington D.C. is the greatest homeopathic founder ever. I mean, that's wild, right? And so you'll see this in a lot of stuff. Like you'll see like different royalties use homeopathy, and different elite people use homeopathy. The royal family, presidents. My teacher actually was on call for President Clinton, and so it's interesting that in one way it seems the medicine's just like kind of like for, you know, like we don't talk about it, but another way like it is like almost a secret, and like smart people really do use it, right? The smart people find us. The ones that are questioning standard allopathic medicine are the ones that find us. So I think that's super cool. Okay, so I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, so let me catch up. So I compared like if 100 people got a disease in allopathic medicine. So let's take that scenario and say that you have 100 people with the same symptoms, right? And they could be labeled with the same disease, but they have to be treated in an individual way, right? Like, because one could be caused from toxicities, one could be caused from nutrient deficiencies, wrong diet, one could be caused from like a pharmaceutical side effect or vaccinosis. And so protocol medicine is not going to work in that at all. And this is probably like the downside of our medicine, because like everybody still, even my hardcore people, want a protocol. They want to know how to take that. As best as I can, I try to, you know, well, this supplement will help or this remedy could help in that moment. It's super, super difficult, and it makes, it would be really easy, I guess, if I had protocol medicine, but that's not how it is. Everyone's unique, and every treatment protocol is unique, and sometimes people are on the same remedy, and it could be the same remedy, and it could be completely different reasons why they're on that remedy. So like one person could be on a remedy for a chronic cough, and the other could be on a remedy for urinary symptoms, you know. And anyway, so like the remedies, you're on different protocols, or you can be on similar protocols, but the reason why you're on the protocol is different. And nonetheless, the outcome of that is hopefully that you return to a state of health, that you use the modalities to stimulate your body to heal, and that you now are in a natural state of health, and you have removed the cause and corrected that, and that is maintained until there inevitably something comes up, and we're human. It all comes up for everyone. So one of founders of like vitalistic medicine, as far as my roots and my tradition, goes back to, you'll hear me say Dr. Hahnemann, Samuel Hahnemann. He's like the founder of homeopathy, but you will hear me also maybe reference Dr. Lindlar, who in my head is like the founder of like vitalistic naturopathic medicine. And so he set the precedent for naturopathy in America. You can trace different parts of the medicine to different countries, like hydrotherapy in Germany and things like that. But Dr. Lindlar came and he wrote a book, and he taught you how to heal from disease. And basically it's, you give the body what it needs, you take the poisons out, and you stimulate the vital force. You stimulate the body to heal, and that's it. And so when people learn to do that, right, you get the poisons out of your life, you clean up the diet, you clean up the products and the chemicals around your life, you get the right nutrients in, right? So you got the toxins out, you get the right nutrients in, the therapeutic diets that you're on, the healthy diets that you're on, the food intolerances that you stay away from. So, and then if there are any symptoms remaining, you can stimulate the vital force in ways like with homeopathy to heal those symptoms. So you really can't just do homeopathy because it doesn't correct why you got sick. It just gets rid of the symptoms. And so the vitalistic medicine is super important in a conversation about homeopathy, because you really can't have a perfect state of health without both together. Does that make sense? So let me build on that a little bit. This is really confusing because we have just like, so let me just like break this down. So that is like the traditional medicine, right? You have allopathic thinking and vitalistic thinking, and homeopathy really falls into vitalistic medicine. And it's a science by itself, and that science in itself can heal many things with just that science alone. But when you put it in the broader view of medicine, you really have an allopathic view and a naturopathic view of medicine. And so, but let's talk about quickly, and then I think we'll end for today, is the different names of medicine, because this does throw people off with marketing, is like allopathic medicine, I think I just went over that. And then you have functional medicine, integrative medicine, naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine. And there's so many more, but I think those are like the main ones. So like, let's break down like functional medicine. Functional medicine basically took like the top couple layers of naturopathy, which in my opinion are the most superficial layers: supplementation and labs, and some therapeutic diet, based on whatever trend is going on or whatever. So, some functional med docs are really good and they do use like the diet as the heavy base, and some functional med docs usually maybe use nutraceuticals as a heavy base, but never correct the problem. And then they both tend to run a bunch of lab work. We can run all that lab work as well. You might not see me run it if you've been a personal patient of me, because sometimes it's just can be really expensive, and the end product of what it gives is usually not as great as you're hoping for, and it really always boils down to like the treatment therapy anyway. So but you'll see these functional docs, and what's happening is, so originally when functional medicine first started becoming trendy, a lot of naturopathic doctors, like some of my mentors, were doing these conferences and teaching these medical doctors, because basically naturopathic doctors stopped being interested in naturopathy. It wanted to keep up with the Joneses, and so started going to like regular medical conferences. And interesting enough, these doctors that were starting to question some of their ways wanted to learn from naturopaths. And so basically, they would take like weekend conferences or whatnot, and they turned the term coined got turned into the coined word functional medicine. And to be honest, it usually is, MDs. Now there's functional practitioners, which is usually lay people that have gone through a good training, and they're really good too. Or, sometimes you'll see naturopathic doctors marketing functional medicine, and they're usually just kind of hopping on the marketing train, I think, at that point. Or some go to the functional trainings and practice functional medicine, which doesn't make sense, but I don't know, maybe stay away from those type of doctors. Or you have so these functional MDs, I mean, their default is allopathic medicine, even though they're more open-minded. And so usually these doctors will, anyway, so that's a little bit about functional medicine. It's mostly about diet, nutraceuticals, and lab work. And it's good. It just is like one piece of the puzzle. And I think most of their default is allopathic medicine, if I had to really dig in. And I've seen it. I just don't want to poo-poo them too much. So that's more of your functional. Integrative medicine is a really interesting word. Integrative medicine in one way is a marketing term for us, like on Google and stuff. But if I really sat down and thought about the word integrative medicine, it's actually... it's a horrible word, and integrative medicine doesn't work. You cannot cure and suppress at the same time. This is what like my mentor would already say. You literally cannot cure something and suppress it, because suppression never means a cure. Even if the symptoms have gone away, it doesn't mean it was cured. Most likely it's either going to come back or it's been suppressed deeper into the body if it's been happening for long enough or strong enough. But you can't do it together, so you can't have integrative medicine. You can't really give antibiotics and a probiotic and think that that's like that's great. I mean, you give the probiotic to hopefully make up from some of the damage of the antibiotic, but that's not really addressing like why you got sick or supporting the immune system to just heal naturally, because you got sick because there was some type of disease in the internal environment that the body now has reacted to and gave you symptoms. And so instead of suppressing those symptoms, you use those symptoms to heal, or you suppress them with allopathic intervention. But it's impossible you can't do the same at the same time. Prove it to me if you like, no, seriously, like, try. This is what my mentor would say, like it just never happens. And so really integrative medicine is, I don't know what it means. It could mean a really authentic natural practitioner. You'll see, actually, maybe I don't think we use it anymore, but at some point maybe we did, and rightfully so. Like Google likes that word for our type of our practice. And then, or it could mean an integrative functional type of medical doctor that does a lot of allopathic drugs too. So it really doesn't mean, you really have to dig a little deeper. And then naturopathic medicine is, of course, our background. We're naturopathic doctors, and there's a lot of drama, just like in every part of the world, on naturopathic medicine. As I mentioned before, naturopaths are trying to keep up with the Joneses, and the more prescription rights we get, the more allopathic medicine that a lot of my colleagues are practicing in licensed states. You'll go to these doctors and you'll get antibiotics and hormones and any drug cocktail you really want. But it's not true naturopathic medicine. And when push comes to shove, some of these naturopaths, if you come in with a strep throat, they'll give you an antibiotic. Like, they don't know how to use natural medicine to heal disease because they don't understand the philosophy that they're operating at. And this really frustrated, I personally went to naturopathic medical school to learn how to treat strep throat naturally, right? Like, if I wanted to get drugs, I would have gone to allopathic medicine, of course. But that's not what a lot of naturopathic doctors is. So a lot of them will give the antibiotic. So really it drove, I lost my train of thought, but my mentors basically got really upset about this, as I was saying, as were me, as Adam, and other people were seeing that our colleagues are prescribing so much drugs, the philosophy is getting lost. And so our mentors basically started like a fellowship type of program where they could teach authentic naturopathic medicine to naturopathic graduates already. And so basically they revitalized around 2015-16 naturopathic medicine to keep vitalism alive, because the naturopathic schools are getting rid of homeopathy. They're getting rid of like some naturopathic modalities, and that is the medicine, that is the cure. And so then again, naturopathic medicine or a naturopathic doctor doesn't ensure that you're going to get a vitalistic doctor or a homeopath. So and I've met lay people that are like lay people, meaning not naturopathic doctors. They like call themselves naturopath. They're actually more vitalistic in philosophy than some naturopaths. So it's super tricky, all the terms, which is why I thought it would be good to break them down as far as like on practice what it means. But you can see you either fall into allopathic thinking of medicine, or you fall into vitalistic thinking of medicine, and you really just need to know, if you go to someone, what philosophy they go to, especially when shit happens. Okay, so I think that now that I've laid the foundation of just the medicine, now we can kind of dig into homeopathy, because homeopathy will naturally fall into vitalistic medicine, and I'll pick up there next time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hop on every other Thursday at 1 o'clock. If you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any topics that you would like me to discuss at some point, just message me or type them below, and I'll definitely take it into consideration. All right, have a good day.